Have you ever had one of those moments where your brain just randomly remembers something from years ago that you forgot even existed? Yeah, I just had one of those moments, and it's with the game that we'll be talking about today, Frosty Nights. It is a pretty obscure game that was released on December 8th, 2017, and is a point-and-click horror game, much like Five Nights at Freddy's, which I shouldn't even have to explain what that is. Trust me, I'll be covering more FNAF fan games in the future, and maybe even official FNAF games, we'll see. It was developed by Clockwork Wolf and has a generally positive reception. It was somewhat popular when it released. It even had YouTubers like 8-Bit Ryan, Fusion Z Gamer, and even Markiplier play it. I only remember seeing this game back when it first came out, but never actually played it up until recently. So to celebrate the Christmas season, let's talk about a semi-old game that probably no one remembers or cares about whatsoever. This is Frosty Nights. The game starts by giving us the option to pick either between boy or girl. As far as I know, this doesn't change anything about the actual game itself, but you know I'm a true broski, so I obviously picked dude. After you're done making the hardest decision you've ever made in your life, you're set in front of a cabin in a snowy forest in presumably the middle of booty cheek nowhere. You have to find the pieces around the place in order to build said snowman. After you're done building, you're given a little intro with a freaky looking deer. Then the game sets you in your bedroom. Your mom peeks through the little butt crack of the door and tells you to go to bed since you have school the following morning, and not to listen to those spooky, scary horror stories, since they give us nightmares. We, of course, do the exact opposite and stay up and listen to those scary tapes. The tapes are hidden around the room, and you are tasked to look for them. The tapes tell a story on how Santa was out scouring the world to look for the best spot to build his workshop. That's when he found the North Pole, and I guess was a magical place or something, so he no longer ages and can stop time. But Santa needed some workers to help him build his workshop, so he called Mother Nature, and together they created living snowmen. The snowmen helped build toys. The snowmen helped build the workshop and toys for Santa. But over time, the demand for toys became too much to fill, and people kept cutting forests down and leaving animals to die. Mother Nature was upset over this, but Santa tried to help and replenish the forest. But this was not enough, and Mother Nature grew more angry, and the minds of the snowman began to warp and change. They slowly stopped working on toys and left the workshop, and then went out to kill some kid named John or something like that. I don't know, the game just kinda tells the story immediately. After hearing the story of John losing his cool to the jolly white tickle monster, the snowmen start geeking out hard and start making weird noises on the cassette tape. And then the child you play as decides to make a battle plan to fend off against the snowmen, which are coming for us, and I guess they're real now. You tape a blow dryer and flashlight together and sit on your bed, and that's when the game truly starts. True poetry. The intro for this game is somewhat dragged out, but I still enjoyed it on a first time playthrough. The game just kinda lays out all of its cards on you almost immediately, but it's a pretty charming intro overall. Too bad the movement in this game sucks ass for the walking portions. But the game was intended to be a VR game, I believe, and VR games have pretty janky movement, but it's a good thing the walking portions are few and far between. The story of the game is very cheesy and simple, but I like that. It doesn't really seem to take itself seriously most of the time. But with the beginning of the game out of the way, it's time to take a little peepee-weepee at the actual game itself now. The first night is easy, just like any other FNAF game. There isn't much that happens, and the only snowman that appears this night is Bobbles. Bobbles, and extension all the other snowmen, can come from either the front window, right window, closet door, or the door on the left. On occasion, a snowman, presumably Bobbles, will open the door, making it easier for other snowmen to come through. You can close the door, but it is better to be cautious before shutting it, since it leaves a pretty big window of opportunity for a snowman to attack. You are also given a flashlight and a blow dryer. The flashlight is pretty much useless. There is no real reason to use it. You can see just fine without it, but the blow dryer, on the other hand, is your only means of defense against the snowmen. You use the blow dryer to melt them, which I think is pretty silly. There is also a nightstand drawer on your left that you can use to refill batteries if you get low. The snowmen are extremely quiet and make next to no sounds themselves, so you need to listen for audio cues like doors creaking and light thumps, which can sometimes be a little tricky since there are auditory distractions such as blizzards, snow falling from the roof, toy train turning on, lights flickering and going out, and the sirens of a toy ambulance. Despite this, even on the hardest night, it is not too distracting at all, so long as you keep your head on a constant swivel. After each night, you get a small introduction cutscene to a new snowman. The next snowman you will be dealing with on night 2 is Mr. Blue. This fat fuck works the same as Bobbles. He's just slower and takes a little longer to melt. Night 2 is still absurdly easy, which I probably should have mentioned that the whole game itself is really easy. Night 3 introduces another new snowman, this being Lil Santy, which all the snowmen have such goofy names, I love it. He's a lot quicker, but goes down a lot easier. He is also the only snowman that can come from the ceiling vent in the corner of your room, so watch out for that. He even does funny little flips when he comes from the closet. I also found this really weird glitch where I did melt him, but his model didn't play the melting animation, and he still flung himself at me, but didn't kill me. Then he just kind of popped out of existence. Why did he do that? Anyways, Note J4 is the last night that introduces a new snowman. This being my personal favorite out of the bunch, Craze, spelt with a K. He works the same way as all the other snowmen do, and the only thing he does differently is when he comes from either one of the windows, he'll put his head up on the windowsill and will start blinking at you real weird to stall for a bit before swinging in. After that, nights 5 and 6 are much of the same, just getting slightly more difficult. And also on night 6, the power starts freaking the fuck out hard, and all the lights turn off. Still don't need that flashlight though. I still don't understand why we have it. There is also a nightmare night that you get a special reward for beating, but I'm just gonna blue ball you and make you play the game yourself instead of showing you. Trust me, it's worth it. But with all that said and done, I'm gonna give my closing statements here now. The game overall isn't too terribly scary. It does a decent enough job at building some tension, but when the actual snowmen themselves show up, it falls a bit awkward at times. The snowmen's designs are at best a little creepy, and the gameplay is pretty bare bones. But despite all of that, I enjoyed my time with this game. It's stupid and doesn't seem to take itself too terribly seriously, and I do like the snowmen's designs, even if it doesn't give off too much of a creep factor. It's a charming experience overall that I highly recommend you go check out, but this game did get me thinking about how little there are actual decent snowmen horror games out there. This one's up there with one of the best snowmen horror games you can find, at least in my opinion. I feel like snowmen are pretty underutilized as a horror monster, and I would like to see more snowmen horror games in the future. I know this is a pretty short video, but there wasn't too much to talk about with this game, and I just wanted to make a quick Christmas video to put out. Winter is my favorite season after all. You can probably tell from the background, but Halloween is still my favorite holiday, of course. Thank you for watching this video all the way through, even if it was a short one. Tell me what you think in the comments, and good night.